Welcome to today's broadcast and podcast, and I want to introduce you to a lovely, smart, vivacious, on fire, brilliant lady, Nicole Pearson. And I so appreciate her because she is passionate about what we are going to talk about today. Now, this is something you want to pay attention to because it affects you, it affects your children, it affects your grandchildren, it affects the state that you live in, and the only way it can be stopped is by mama bears and papa bears and caring citizens, prayer warriors, and watchmen on the wall getting involved. We do not want to be hearers of the word only, but we want to be doers. And we are responsible before God for what happens on our watch. And so we're going to talk about something today. This can't sit. It can't wait. It needs immediate action. So I'm calling on my Mayday USA sisters and brothers. I'm calling on my Don't Mess with Our Kids brothers and sisters. I'm calling on those in Her Voice movement, in the Esther's Rising movement. I'm calling on Jen Mallan Ministry partners, friends, and I'm calling on Come Home viewers, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Nicole, thank you for being with us today and helping us understand this AB 495.
Yes, you're welcome. Thank you so much for having me. I know it was a lot for us.
Well, we didn't give up, right?
No, it's important. We make it happen for the kids.
Yes. Nicole, tell our viewers a little bit about your background, who you are, and why you are so passionate about this.
So I'm a mom of 3. I live in California. I'm a lawyer, a human and civil rights constitutional lawyer now, since COVID and all the unconstitutional, inhumane mandates and guidelines and everything that we went through illegally and unconstitutionally. But my passion has always been for children. I'm a daughter of immigrants. If you share my testimony from the Senate Human Services Committee, you'll hear a little bit more about me. And I testified to that because this bill is being presented as a bill that is to help protect immigrants, specifically undocumented immigrants and their children. So I take this to heart. It's a very serious issue that she is really kind of riding the coattails of to ram through this very dangerous illegal bill. And so I'm just always advocating for actual protections of the most vulnerable in our communities. It's kind of a tactic that the left uses by taking very sensitive, very sad, and very real tragic stories and then trying to use those to usher in, again, illegal, unconstitutional, and quite frankly, cruel and demonic laws that put our children and our rights and freedoms at stake.
Well, thank you for caring, and thank you for jumping up and down and shouting it. Susanna Schill called me and said, hey, you've got to get Nicole on, and we have got to oppose this. I know that there's a big rally and a lobby day coming up this Tuesday, August 19th at 1 o'clock. I know that they've called everyone in California that has faith, that cares about our children, or that just has a moral compass to come out. I know that Pastor Jack Hibbs is involved very heavily, and others, many, many others. So tell us about how this bill, Nicole, can strip parents and caregivers of their own children. And who sponsored this? How did it get this far? And what in the world can we do to stop it?
Okay, let's go. So very quickly, anybody who's listening needs to be sharing this interview with everybody they know in the country, because I need people to understand a couple of things. Number one, so goes California, so goes the rest of the nation. If this bill passes here, it will absolutely be rolled out and implemented in other states. Number two, Gavin Newsom has presidential aspirations. So California is the test state. It's going to be used as the model state, and whatever he passes here, he will try and roll out across the country if he becomes president. And number three, and most importantly, most critically, California is a sanctuary state for minors who are here to receive, or for anyone, who is here to receive gender affirming healthcare or sexual and reproductive healthcare. So if I'm going to be very direct and blunt, you can Google me and fact check me. I don't care. I put my whole family, relationships, profession and relationships and reputation, excuse me, is the word, on the line. I don't care, because I'm right, and what I'm telling you is the truth, and it's all here in the law that I have printed out. That means when you're a sanctuary state, that California, Governor Newsom and his cronies have declared war on the U.S. Constitution, on the full faith and credit clause, which says that states have to honor the laws and lawful orders, like a warrant or a legal custody order, of other states. So if an adult brings your child to this state to receive quote unquote gender affirming care and sexual reproductive health care, whether they actually receive it or not, California law enforcement and courts under SB 107 and AB 1066 do not have to comply with the warrants, the subpoenas, your child custody orders from Tennessee, Texas, whatever conservative state you think that your child is safe in. So any child can be brought to the state. They can be kidnapped. They can be human trafficked into California. And if the adult who has them says, I'm here to help little Susie get an abortion, or I'm here to get Bobby puberty blockers, they cannot be extradited from the state. Law enforcement and the courts will not assist you in removing your child and holding the perpetrator accountable. Okay. People need to understand, share this with everybody, because every child's in danger if AB 495 passes. Number one. Number two, it's written by Assemblywoman Celeste Rodriguez. She's a new Assemblywoman. I do not know her. I met her, but I did not know, she has no track record. So I was giving her the benefit of the doubt, and hoping that she's a newbie. And so they threw her on a bill, hoping she wants to make a splash in her first session at the Capitol. And she wasn't really sure what she had signed on to. But I've been reaching out to her since July 7th and offering my services free of charge to write a bill that actually protects children, all children, not just the children of undocumented immigrants, which we'll get into in a second. She has not responded to any of my offers. So now I am of the mindset that she is not in our camp. This isn't an innocent mistake, and that she's intentionally trying to legally emancipate children and to help undocumented immigrants. I'll strike that, but help predators have access to children and to kidnap and traffic them. How? AB 495 takes an existing law, California Family Code Section 6550 and 6552 currently exist, and they have created what's called a caretaker's authorization affidavit. This piece of paper already exists. If you Google it, the first link that will come up is the California Courts website. And it's in the self-help center. Anybody can download it and print it. It's one page, front and back. And what it allows is, in the case of an emergency, if you are incapacitated, if you are incarcerated, or you are in an accident and you're in the hospital, someone with whom an adult with whom the child is living. So for example, if you get in a car accident, you and your husband, you're in the hospital, and the child is left at home with your mother-in-law, or not your mother-in-law, but the nanny or the neighbor, or is left at school, that person can take this affidavit and temporarily exercise your constitutionally protected rights as a parent to make educational and medical decisions for your child. Okay, that currently exists in California. I have never seen an affidavit without a parent's signature, 100%, every single time. 98% of the time, that parent signature is notarized, but I've seen some without the parent's notarized signature. And about 88% of the time, the intended caregiver has also signed the affidavit. Why? Because it is a tool for parents to plan in the case of an emergency. They don't have the money to get a trust or a will or a power of attorney. So they just get this form. They have it in their drawer. Their intended caretaker, like godparents, for example, who are adults, but they're not related to the child, has a copy in their drawer. If something happens, they have a piece of paper signed by both parties, typically notarized, that then they can use to move the child through school and any school-related medical services in the event of an emergency. It exists, and there are ways in which it is properly used with certain procedural guardrails. Currently today, only if that individual, that caretaker, is a relative, can they authorize medical treatment, including surgeries, mental health services, etc., of the child in the event of an emergency. What AB 495 wants to do, which you're already shaking your head, it is already a tool the flood of messages that I've been getting from teachers and administrators and counselors that they have children currently in their schools that they don't know if they've been kidnapped, but they're not allowed to ask because of the way that the affidavit is currently written is astounding. It's already being misused. There's already a lot of danger for these current existing affidavits to be misused. What does Celeste want to do in order to help undocumented immigrants avoid ICE and avoid their children from being placed in the CPS protective services foster care system, which I am aware is a very flawed, dangerous system, but certainly better than giving a license to a human trafficker to take your child without any duty of the person who receives this to conduct any inquiry or investigation, without any obligation for the person to provide photo ID, without any parent signature. And I'm pointing to spaces on the affidavit that will exist if AB 495 passes that says all the things that I just mentioned. No photo ID, no, the person who receives it, no obligation to inquire, investigate. If they don't, doesn't matter. No civil, criminal, or professional liability if they make a mistake and the child is harmed. And repeatedly throughout the law and on this affidavit, it says a parent's signature is not required. And depending on who is filling this out, it also says you can check a box that says I contacted the parent and they're aware of what's going on, or I was unable to contact the parent and they're not aware that I'm presenting this affidavit. This is a dangerous, dangerous form, the way that she has broadened it under the guise of helping undocumented immigrant parents.
Nicole, that it's not even common sense.
No.
Like you just can't even believe that anyone would think that this is okay, and then think that voters are so ignorant that they're going to pass this. And yet that's what they're banking on, which is why you and I have to have this conversation, and why people need to get to Sacramento, why people need to get to this rally. Pastor Rob McCoy, Pastor Jack Hibbs, they're saying, get to Sacramento, get to Sacramento. And so once again, we can't say we didn't know. We're letting you know. And I'm asking you, share this with other people. Guys are responsible. We are responsible for what happens on our watch, and we have to be on the right side of history. So Nicole, keep going.
No. And so when I mentioned this in my testimony, is she's using the same arguments that the Biden administration used when they lowered the vetting procedures and the security measures for the surge of undocumented minor children, unaccompanied minors at the border. And as of March or April 2025, the actual number of minors that they have lost track of I think it's about 325,000 that they have completely lost. And then an additional 275,000 that they're unable to track. There's a distinction with the way that they're using it, but all that we need to know is it's about 1 million. It's over 600,000 children, minors, that they have lost track of. So now we want to do the exact same thing in California, except worse, because number one, this is not limited to California children. Number two, it's not limited to the children of undocumented immigrants. Not that I would even want 495 to be applied to any child, but she's trying to claim that this is a tool for undocumented immigrant parents. But this is a tool that any adult can use to access your child, take physical custody of your child, unenroll your child from school, and then enroll them in any school of their choosing, again, with no notification to the parents, no proof of ID, nothing. And there is a signature that is required and a penalty of perjury, but you know how human traffickers are. They don't really care so much, or a pedophile does not care so much, especially when they're already out of the country or the state with your child. California perjury laws don't matter to a human trafficker who's in Mexico or Canada or Wisconsin. It does not matter. That's right. I just want to really quickly to that point, because people tell me all the time, well, if a person's going to kidnap your child, a person's going to kidnap your child. Absolutely. That is totally true. But what this is going to do is going to make it easier, because right now that person has to work around and surreptitiously try and find an opportunity to have access to your child and hope that nobody notices. What this does is it allows an adult that has your child's name and birthday, which if you are a professional predator, you can easily get the name and birthday of a 6-year-old, a 7-year-old, an 8-year-old, I would dare say even a 10, 11, 12-year-old in 30 seconds flat. Like, it is so easy for these trained professional predators to get this information. So with your child's name and date of birth only, and a made up name and a made up address, and then their signature and a penalty of perjury, again, made up because they don't have to prove their identification. No one's verifying or conducting an inquiry investigation. They can pull your child from school, enroll them in another school or not at all, and then authorize school-related medical services. But when you are a predator and you want to take that child and then leave the state, what they have now done is, after you drop your child off at 8 a.m. and you come back at 3 to get your kid, and someone comes and you come in, you're like, hey, where's Bobby? And they're like, oh, well, so-and-so brought this affidavit and said that he or she was going to take Bobby from school, and that you knew that this was happening. You've now given this predator an 8-hour leg up on your investigation. And if you know human trafficking, if you know kidnapping, you know these things, every minute counts. The first 24 hours, if you cannot find your child in the first 24 hours, the chances of your child ever being returned to you are like literally less than 2%. Yeah. So the first 24 hours are critical. And this affidavit makes it, cuts away at those 24 hours. So it's giving predators, kidnappers, traffickers a leg up. The other thing that I want to mention is the law already says that, as I mentioned, that relatives can use this. So what Celeste wants to do is, here are like the 5 main things. She wants to expand the definition of relative to the 5th. She wants to multiply it by 5. So currently it's aunt, uncle, cousin, sister, brother, step, including step, and including ex, and great and grand. So it could be currently today, it could be your great grandfather's ex-wife stepson can use this affidavit. She wants to multiply it by 5. So her definition is that relative to the 5th degree of kinship, number 1. She wants to add, in addition to that new relative, a non-relative. She wants to add a term called a non-relative extended family member, which is an oxymoron. You're not a relative. You're not a family member. She wants to use a euphemism and a non-relative extended family member can also use this affidavit and do the school-related medical care, the school educational decisions, and any medical care in the state. And that is someone with a familial or mentoring relationship with the child, and may include but is not limited to teachers, medical professionals, neighbors and family friends. I'm reading it from the bill itself. If you've been watching California, you know how the teachers are, you know how the medical professionals are. It doesn't say the child's medical provider, as if the child would be living with the pediatrician anyways. Right. The medical professional, what's a medical professional? It's a counselor, it's an advisor. And if you've been watching what's going on in California, teachers, medical professionals at school will be able to use this, again, unenroll your child from school, authorize any type of medical care, including surgeries, including mental health services and drugs for your child. And again, no requirement that they contact the parent, no identification. This does not get filed with anybody. And a parent's signature all over this document says a parent's signature is not required. So the bill is not necessary. And then it's dangerously expanding who can lawfully use this bill to do those things to your child.
Yeah. Nicole, it's diabolical. It's divisive. It's dangerous, and it's not needed. It's not necessary. And we've got to do something about it. We can't let this bill pass and then later on say what happened. So what can we do to stop this?
So as you mentioned, there's a hearing on this bill and several other bad bills. I just want to list them because I did send you the resources. Yes. AB 84 is a bill that wants to shut down charter and homeschools. And then when I list them to you, you're going to see the pattern. They want to shut down charter and homeschools and their vendors. So shut down charter schools, which will shut down their vendors, which will shut down homeschools. What will happen? All the children will need to go to our dangerous failing traditional public school setting, right? Where these mentors and these teachers and these medical professionals can have access to your children. There's another bill, AB 1084, that wants to expedite these confidential. Last year, a bill passed, AB 223, passed that said that an adult can take a child to court to change their birth records. That's name, gender, sex identifier, confidentially. They want to piggyback on that bill. Rick Zabur wants to, with AB 1084, expedite those. So when I'm talking to you about the 8 hours, the time that we have to locate our children to get them back into, so now he wants to expedite those proceedings. So now we're going to get the kids out of the school, give the kidnapper an 8-hour leg up on you at least, and then they're going to take them to court, and those proceedings to confidentially erase their identity and their records so you can find them, expedite them. So they're done in less than 6 weeks. That's AB 1084. And then AB 727 to help facilitate the child's cooperation with the predator is a bill from Mark Gonzalez that says that on the back of every school ID, grade 7 and up, they need to have information from the Trevor Project, which is a pedophiles, perverts, paradise hangout, online hangout, where you can go create a profile without any identification, proof of ID or identity, and have inappropriate conversations with children where they will link up with your children, put bad ideas in them. So when they come with the affidavit, the boyfriend comes or the girlfriend comes to remove them from school and take them wherever the promise is, what predators do, the child will not be fighting back because they've had this illicit relationship that they developed with the Trevor Project website, which was provided to them courtesy of AB 727 on the back of their ID card. And then not to be outdone, there's SB 59 from Scott Wiener. I want to end on a high note. Scott Wiener wants to say, okay, well, children's birth records can be sealed confidentially. We need adults' birth records to be changed under seal. And that's all being considered on Monday, the 18th at this hearing. So if you can see all of this together, and there are more bills that show AB 1955 makes it legal for teachers to lie to parents. And AB 665 makes it legal for children to run away from home and check into a government-run shelter for any reason. Before, it was only if they were being abused, were victims of incest, or there was a danger, could they run away. Now they can run away out of your home for any reason, no notice to the parents. So you can see this perfect storm where children can be seduced, be brainwashed, manipulated to run away from home, to leave their home, be subverted to the desires of these weird adults, strangers, who will now have legal rights. And I'll take that back. You will still have legal custody. This does not take away your legal custody. But when your child is not in your care, and you don't know where your child is, right, and your child is in a different state, and then it does not matter. It doesn't matter. Right. So that's why these bills are extremely important. We need to keep charter and homeschools open. We need to keep our rights. We need to keep our children out of these dangerous public schools close to us. We need to preserve parental rights, protect children, and make sure that dangerous predators don't have tools at their disposal to make it any easier for them to get their hooks in our children and then steal them from our homes and erase them from the face of the planet. So we can never find them. And it doesn't matter what rights we have, because in effect, we have nothing.
Yes. Nicole, I thank you so much for being passionate about this and for bringing it to our attention. And listen, this is not some far-fetched phenomena. I've done hundreds of shows, and I've interviewed parents that have had crazy things happen to their children in the public school system during public school hours, they've been made into the enemy, all of their rights taken away. And so look, this puts every child at risk. It puts every family at risk, and parents, it puts you at risk. And we've got to stop it. We do not want California to set precedent with this bill. It can be turned down. God always raises up a standard. He always uses a remnant. He always brings an army together. You might think, oh, well, my one vote, my one little appearance. No, we need you there. We need you to go. We need you to sound the alarm. We need you to tell others. This bill has zero safeguards. And listen, we have a responsibility to the next generation. So I just want to encourage you, California State Capitol, we need you this Tuesday, August 19th, 1 p.m. There will be many out there, and you can go on the website that you've been seeing here. You can register. They'll tell you there's a 1 o'clock rally, then there's a lobby training, then there's a lobby with the legislators. But we have to oppose AB 495. I know I can count on you. Nicole's counting on you, and
the children are counting on us to be adults.
Yes,
and step into the fray because no one else will.
They are, and So thank you, Nicole. I wish we could talk more, but I know we'll do a follow-up interview. But for right now, we just need to get the Army deployed and get them in position so that this bill goes away and then it stays away, because no doubt the enemy will try to pop this thing up again. We do not want any caregiver to have any authorization or any affidavits that the parents are not aware of and that they endorse. And so thank you so much, Nicole. And I just pray blessings on you as you are fighting this good fight. And we are believing God for a good, miraculous outcome. People like you, we need you to keep your ear to the ground and then scream to us and tell us what to do. And this platform is me, yelling at all of y'all out there, come on, we need you, and pray, but then act.
Yes.
Okay, any closing words, Nicole?
No, thank you so much. And just so you know, 18th is the hearing, but the 19th is the rally. And anybody who is physically unable to get there, you can be making phone calls starting today on your way to work, on your way home, to the senators in the committee, to your senator, to every senator. There are like 30. I don't even think there are that many. And also on Instagram and Twitter, tweeting them, asking them questions, telling them to vote no, at the very least, abstain on this bad bill, including Gavin Newsom. If he wants to be president, he needs to know we're watching. He stood up for the rights of the survivors, child survivors of human trafficking, of the survivors of child sex trafficking with Senate Bill 14 and Senate Bill 1414 to protect children who are the victims of human trafficking. So he should do the same by stepping in, intervening, and pulling the bill. He can do that, or he can veto it if it unfortunately does pass out of the Capitol. So we need to be putting pressure all the time, nonstop, and rising up and sharing this message.
Yes. Your vote matters, your phone call matters, your email matters, your post on social media matters. It all will create this groundswell and this grassroots project and movement that we need to protect our children and save our children and provide the life for them that God intended them to have. Nicole, thank you so much. And I look forward to hearing good news. We're believing God for good news.
I'll be back with good news soon.